Deluxe,
Yeah, it's not expensive.
not my problem, you know.
I heard it's price low.
Ours, right.
No, I'm sorry.
And, I think we
Yeah.
have speakers.
All right, I've started recording. So, it's 6:30. And, I'm gonna wait and see if there's anybody who, just wants to join us on, Teams. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen. And, hold on. I'm gonna share my screen, so I'm gonna go to the presentation here. Right. Yeah.
Daniel, did you get his PowerPoint? Yeah, I'm not sure if Joe, is gonna forward it. Do you want that? You want to try to forward it?
If we need to put it on the website, we can. If we can just do that anyway, if you want.
Could you also forward that presentation to me also?
All right, sure, no problem. Hold on.
No, when you're all done.
Yep, okay. All right. Hold on, please give me a second here. I'm trying to, here. Share the screen. Here's window. All right. Oh, wait, you know what?
Dark yellow.
It'd be nice if I put the presentation actually up, so give me a second here. Okay. And then I'll start the slideshow. Okay.
I send it to Warren as well.
Okay, at least we. Hold on,
Sent it to
that.
them. So yeah, I'm trying to get the things that.
All right, now.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll drop it.
Is that?
Yeah.
All right. All right, looks like we, all right. Let's get started. Okay, so we are getting started. Welcome to Morris River Township Municipal Building. I want to thank the people at Morris River Township, including Denise for allowing us to do this presentation. This is a presentation for the basically a renewal of a Title V operating permit for it's an facility-wide air permit for Bayside State Prison and Southern State Correctional Facility here which is located here in Morris River Township. So this is part of what is known as an administrative order. This is under an administrative order 2021-25. Now, this is required now from New Jersey DEP for what is known as environmental justice, and it's a public information session that we're providing to talk about the air permit renewal over at Bayside State Prison. Now, my name is Richard Sestone. I'm with Remington and Vernick Engineers, and I've been doing the air permitting work for Bayside State Prison for several years now, and I've been working on their Title V operating permit renewal, and so now I'm dealing with what is known as the public information session required under what is known as Administrative Order 2021-25. Now, this administrative order was basically was issued by the NJDEP Commissioner Sean LaTourette. Apparently, this is going to be now it's going to be codified, and it's currently under review, and it could be of law. But we're operating under an administrative order at this time, and what it is that it allows what is known as overburdened communities to participate in an open discussion and comment on proposed projects within the community at qualifying facilities. Now, the location of what is Bayside State Prison and its neighboring facility, Southern State Correctional Facility, which is which is only a few miles away. It's located here in Morris River Township in Cumberland County. And the township is classified as what is known as an overburdened community. And what it does is that it's either 40%. It's a community that has either 40% lower economic level or 35% minority persons or 35% of residents who have limited English proficiency. State of New Jersey has pretty much done a map, okay, and highlighted areas where overburdened communities occur. And if you have a qualified facility that's in that, then you're subject to the administrative order. Now, of course, the facility, all right, again, is for under the administrative order is Bayside State Prison. And the reason why it's a qualified facility is that it has what is known as a Title V operating permit. What it is it's an air permit, a facility-wide air permit in which all the emission sources, okay, exceed certain levels of pollutants, okay, which deem it what is known as a major source of air pollutants. And that's why it does that. In the case of Bayside, most of the pollutants are actually products of combustion from large boiler facilities, and there's other facilities as well. There's other sources as well. Small history. Okay, Bayside State Prison opened up in 1970 and had operational areas, including like license plate production. And they also have the facility also has ovens that make bakery goods there as well. So they provide that probably within the prison system. And of course, the license plates, of course, is issued to goes to the motor vehicle services. So that's what they have. The Southern State Correctional Facility is right next to Bayside, and it opened in 1983. According to the bio, it has dormitory style cells and it also has farming areas where inmates work. So here's an overview I got this from Google Maps of where the neighboring facilities are. Okay, so as I stated earlier, okay, the facilities have a Title V operating permit, and the reason why it's a Title V permit emits what is known as oxides of nitrogen, or what is known as NOx. It's formed because when you get like as you know, okay, for combustion, okay, you got the fuel, and you also need air, actually oxygen, to burn the fuel. But instead of just putting pure oxygen, of course, you put air in, and air contains 79% nitrogen, 29% oxygen. And at higher burning temperatures, the nitrogen and oxygen actually combine and form nitrogen oxides, which is an acid gas. So it has some sort of, and then of course, it could generate acid rain on that. So that's why oxides of nitrogen are regulated. And when it exceeds 25 tons per year from all sources, then we have to monitor to do that. Now, the Title V operating permit was originally filed back in 2005, and every 5 years, the permit needs to be renewed, and you have to provide updates on that. So currently, the Title V operating permit was what renewal application was submitted. This was back in 2020. The administrative order, okay, what part of this is that any proposed permit along with facility upgrade projects requires a 60-day public comment period for approval, which includes the public information section given to the overburdened community. Of course, the public notice was issued about the Title V operating permit back on June 13th of last month, 2022. It was posted in 2 newspapers, both at the Press of Atlantic City and in the Courier Post, 2 main stations. Plus, it was put on the Morris River Township website as well as the Department of Corrections website. Throughout the 60-day period, which will end on August 12th, anybody could ask questions about the Title V modification, well, Title V renewal, and they could provide public comments, and it'll be put on record. And the public comment period will end on August 12th, 2022. Now, yep. That's on here. Okay. So now, the Title V operating permit, okay, consists of two types of sources. There's significant sources where there are large emitters, sources with large emitters, and then there's insignificant sources, which are small emitters, which are put in separate areas. The significant sources, which are large emitters, I'll tell you what, which are right now. Most of them are combustion sources that have a capacity of burning 1 million BTUs per hour or greater. Now, the two largest emitters is the two main boilers at the power plant, which is which burns each boiler has capability of 32 million BTUs per hour combustion, and it burns natural gas and number two fuel oil. So many of them is number two. For the most part, they're burning natural gas. There's also 5 additional boilers servicing buildings around the campuses, all right, that are much smaller, but are still greater than 1 million BTUs per hour. There are 11 emergency generators also serving both campuses, and emergency generators, okay, are used, okay, in case the prison loses power, and it's used as backup generators for to help keep electricity going if they lose power, especially, of course, due to security measures in that area. Now, the other thing, as I mentioned, there was a bakery area. Well, that's also a significant source because there's 3 ovens that cook like they basically cook like bread and rolls, and there's also a bread mixer area. So that they actually basically they buy dough, they buy yeast. They basically they have these big dough kneaders, and then they shape them into bread loaves or into rolls, and then they bake it in the oven. There's proof boxes as well, because what you do is you shape them up, and then basically you shape them into basically either loaves or rolls, and you have to let it sit for the dough to rise. So that's what we call for proof boxes. So, you know. The other two significant sources, there's 2 gasoline tanks that are on the campuses. Basically, it's to serve motor vehicles around campus. For a significant source, a gasoline tank has to be 2,000 gallons or greater. Because of the fact of the high volatility, that's where emissions come from that as well. The last one is a license plate process facility that has 4 ink lines, and basically they do lines. The reason why there's a significant source is because the process rate is 50 pounds per hour, in minimum. So that's where that's where that's covered. Now, that's a summary of the significant sources. There's also insignificant sources where they're smaller. There's smaller units, okay, like there's like gas ovens and grills that are less than 1 million BTUs per hour. There's a wastewater treatment facility that's on site that emits volatile organic compounds. That's small, and also diesel fuel storage tanks, as well as number 2 fuel oil storage tanks, where they're considered because of the vapor pressure is much lower, they're considered what is known as insignificant sources, and they're in a separate section of the permit. So the Title V operating permit's being renewed, and the renewal application was submitted back on July 24th, 2020. And of course, it was sitting on the desk there. But there was some things that we need to straighten out. New Jersey DEP, they always ask questions. I usually go back and forth with the air permit people and pretty much drive them nuts. And but we were able to get something finalized based upon what areas of the permit, needed to be done. So we were able to provide that. So we were able to agree on a preliminary draft. The preliminary draft was reviewed earlier this year. And then all of a sudden, this came up, and it's like, I got an email from of a person by the name of David Pepe, who runs the Administrative Order 2021-25 program. And it's like, look, you're subject to do that, so you have to do the 60-day public comment period. So here we are. Now, moving forward, if we don't see get any comments or anything like that where the permit renewal has to get changed because of a comment or anything like that, if everything pretty much is okay, then DEP will the DEP air permit people will take over. They have their own public comment period. I mean, personally, it should be concurrent, not consecutive, but they will, if there's nothing going on, I think they can somehow bypass that. Then US EPA needs to review their the permit application for 45 days. Pretty much it just sits on their desk, and then the permit is finalized. The Title V permit will be for 5 years. That's usually what happens. All right, we're projecting that the permit will be finalized sometime this fall, and it'll be 5 years after that. The Title V permit basically consists of a compliance plan that you have to provide annual submittals, and that's what I've been doing for the past couple of years, past few years. One of them is an annual emission statement. We have to report all the pollutants from all the sources every year. It's usually due May 15th. There's also semi-annual compliance reports. Usually the compliance plan has a lot of monitoring regulations of on the process side as well as on the emissions side. If there's anything that unusual happens that you have to report to DEP, that's usually in the semi-annual report, is what is known as a deviation. And then there's also for the larger boilers, including those 2 large boilers in the power plant, there's an annual combustion adjustment report. They're required to adjust combustion processes in the for the boilers, and they have to provide an annual report for DEP. I usually get the results. What they do is they have to measure carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and oxygen that are emitted before and after they adjust the combustion, and then we have to submit that to DEP. And then also there's a semi-annual sulfur content report for fuel oil and diesel use. So you have to basically you have to go over to their contractor, and they have to send you a certificate to ensure that the fuel oil or diesel that's being used to burn, okay, has a sulfur content of 15 parts per million or less, which is now required by state law. Okay. Well, this is pretty much about it as far as anything as the permit is concerned, and basically went over the permanent operations. From my understand, there's apparently Southern State Prison apparently is going to be shutting down, so there's going to be less eventually less emissions. Right now, there's no plans on modifying the Title V permit, but if anything, it'll be removing equipment, especially at the Southern State Correctional Facility side. But that's the decision of Department of Corrections down the road. But as of now, there hasn't, everything seems running normal. I don't see any new problems or any potential any potential problems down the road. So the only questions is if anybody has any questions pertaining to this Title V permit, you can always have you can always get a copy of the Title V permit. It's on public record. You can go to the DOC website, and they can provide you answers, and you can continue to provide questions and answers up to August 12th. So that way, August 12th, so that way, if there's any questions, we'll come back with answers and we'll provide that, to the general public. So that's it for now. If there's any questions, I am ready to receive any questions. Okay, it doesn't look like I hear any questions. I know we've had Teams connections, um, and telephone, but it looks like nobody is answering. I'm gonna leave this on for a little while longer. I'm gonna run through through the presentation one more time. This is being recorded, so that way it'll be sent. Department of Corrections will be, as well as DEP will be getting copies of this, as well as the actual presentation itself. So I'm just gonna go through once, and if I hear anything from anybody, just let me know. Yeah, I think I hear it. And no tornado warnings or anything.
They were saying something about tornado or something. Is that still up there, that tornado thing?
I haven't seen.
Well, I hear thunder.
They've got that.
Something put Vineland's electric out.
I'm gonna keep on going through until 7 o'clock, and I think if nothing happens when I call it, then we can run home. Okay, it's 7 o'clock. Um, I have not heard anybody, ask any questions or call in, and so we're basically gonna call the meeting at the public information and anybody, people that are still interested in asking questions from pertaining, you can go to the Department of Corrections website. You can email the Department of Corrections website for questions. The public comment period continues right through August 12th. I want to thank, of course, the Department of Corrections people, as well as Morris River Township, including Denise Peterson, for setting this up. And thank everyone involved for this public information session. This has been recorded, so it'll be sent and it'll go on public record. So again, thank you and good night.